If you want to get married and finances are holding you back, this video is for you. You know what I'm passionate about?
What?
The return to the struggle.
For me, I'd rather make those memories of a lifetime with the person I'm gonna be with for a lifetime. Marriage is not about the wedding day, like really at all. Today we're gonna talk about 5 myths about financial readiness and marriage that have been commonly circulating the world.
Would you say that we're myth busting?
We are myth busting.
I feel
right
like I've
now.
never used that term.
Right here, right now.
And then I realized that like mid-sentence, I realized that that's what we're doing.
That's exactly what we're doing.
So we want to bust some myths today.
We even have our laptops, as you probably noticed, because this is serious business.
We mean business.
We mean business. So the first myth is that you should be financially established before you get married.
And
this has got maybe controversial that we think this is a myth.
I might have actually had this sentence come from my mouth before.
Oh,
yeah.
You used to think that?
Yeah, I used to believe this myth. Mm-hmm. And I think that there's a couple things that play into this. I think one, I think that this sentence that I'd love to hear your thought, like this whole like idea was derived from a time of life where there was one person who was generating income. So you almost had to like build up a like stronger nest egg because you could get married, have kids, and then you're just in the thick of it.
And I feel like having kids was more of like a right away thing than now sometimes people wait a few
100%.
years. 100%. Yeah.
And I think that like in our day and age, there's 2 people who can generate income. And because of that, you could build wealth together or build financial stability together.
And you don't need to start off that way. You can get married.
Exactly.
Have some humble beginnings.
Yeah. You know what I'm passionate about?
What?
The return to the struggle.
The return to the struggle.
Like I feel like there's a day and age where people get married and live somewhere bad, have bad furniture,
eat bad food,
eat bad food, keep their like grocery bill really low.
Yeah.
Not buy the newest appliances and like extra things like TVs, and just struggle for a bit.
He's reminiscing on our first few years of marriage.
Our first few years of marriage. When we started dating, I had just bought a condo, and I struggled to get that condo, to get the down payment to the condo. It's like, guys, I spent $60 a month, like $60 a month on groceries.
Which is wild.
And this was a different economy, but it wasn't that long ago.
Yeah.
It was like 8 years ago.
So when I moved in, we were functioning with like mattresses and furniture from like someone's grandma that passed away.
Yeah.
Or something.
Yeah, I was really living in...
And I was fine with it.
Yeah.
I was like, you know what? One day we'll get the stuff we want, but right now we have goals and saving goals, and let's just live
I think more
this way.
people need to like go like, oh, I'm in my 20s or I'm in my 30s, and I don't necessarily need to have
the
level of like life comfort that my 50-year-old parents have.
Yeah.
And I think people think that they can like leave their parents' house, start their own house, and live with the same quality of life that they were living with in their parents' house.
Yeah.
And it's just like embrace the struggle a bit. You don't have to be...
It bonds you two as a couple. Like
you don't have to be balling.
Early days of marriage, struggling to...
There's things that we can do now that we weren't doing, like, so we're 6 years into marriage, that we weren't doing 1, 2, even 3 years into marriage. In terms of like freedom with spending, maybe trips, whatever. But it's because we embraced like that period of struggle or like making real sacrifices financially in those first few years when we weren't doing crazy well financially and we didn't have as much saved and invested. And because we had that period of struggle, it kind of opens up life a bit and allows us to be able to enjoy life a bit more. But I think that like the one thing I'd convey to our generation is like, we are only 26 or 31 or 35. It's like a lot of what we see and admire about our parents was built over the period of 35 years.
Yeah.
So allow that to build slowly.
So you don't have to be financially established before you get married. I hope that frees some of you listening to
Embrace the struggle.
What's the second one?
The second one is you need to own a house before marriage.
Okay, so you guys might be thinking, what? Daniel just said he bought a place before you guys got married. Yes, but when he bought a place, we weren't even dating yet.
Yeah.
So he wasn't buying to prepare for marriage.
Yeah.
Maybe you were, but you were just in a position where you could do that. You don't necessarily need to do that.
And it was also 2017, so it was a different economy. I was living in a place that was cheap. I think that's one thing I would have added to the first point as well. I think some people think like, oh, my ideal life is living in a city like LA or Toronto or New York. It's like you could embrace life in a not so amazing city
To save
for
money.
a period of saving.
Yeah.
And then by year 6 of marriage, plan to move, like build out a plan where you're moving into that new city.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Totally.
But I would say like, especially in our economy, I think that we don't necessarily need to almost like elevate the goal or romanticize the goal of owning a house anymore. Like I think that there's so many ways to, I think sometimes people like buy a house because they feel like it brings them stability. But like there's some cities with rent protections. There's stability that could be garnered through having a well-established investment portfolio. I think that like having a good emergency fund and some investments and savings gives you the stability and the freedom to be able to rent in different places.
And if you do want to buy property, it's probably easier to save towards that with someone you're married to than just on your own.
Yeah.
So you guys can get married and have a goal to save towards.
100%. So I think that like people think that, oh, in order to take step 1, I need to take step 2 first. When it's like, oh, marriage could be the step 1 and buying a house could be the step 2 instead of the house being the step 1 and marriage being step 2. Yeah.
The third myth is that marriage will limit your income earning potential or your career building. So I feel like a lot of people think like, oh, I want to have my career established before I get married, or I want to have this certain promotion before I get married. And maybe it ties a little bit back into the being financially
100%.
established and just established in life in general. But I feel like when you get married, you have the ability to be a 2-income earning household and to really like drive forward in your career if you want to.
And I think a lot of this too is grounded in like almost like toxic views of the opposite person. Like, so for example, it's like, oh, say you marry a guy who's lazy or a girl who's materialistic, they're gonna pull you back instead of pushing you forward. But it's like, if you choose the right person who has similar goals as you, that doesn't have to be the case.
Yeah.
It's like you can build towards your careers together, build towards your income earning potential together. And I found that in our marriage, you actually pushed me towards my goals and allow me to think even more creatively than I would if I was just by myself. And I think that something that I think is cool about this point, or like interesting about this myth, is that studies show that 80%, there was like one study that was done by, I think it was like either David Ramsey or like Millionaire Next Door. And they were saying that like of the 7,000 or whatever millionaires they tested or studied, 80% of them were married. And I thought that was interesting because I'm like, yeah, I think sometimes people picture these like single bachelor or bachelorette tycoons that are just like alone building wealth. But people say that the stability of the marriage actually gives you like this psychological security that you need in order to like really thrive in the context of your career as well, which I think is
That's so interesting.
Pretty interesting. Yeah.
Myth busted.
We just busted that myth. So there you go. The fourth one is that debt disqualifies you from being ready for marriage.
That's a good one. I think a lot of us in our 20s find ourselves in debt. A lot of people, I feel like most of the time it's from school, from debt from student loans or what have you. And that can make you feel maybe like you're not ready to enter into that marriage partnership, or maybe you're a bit embarrassed of that. But I feel like if you're the most important thing is being honest.
Yeah.
If you're honest with your significant other about your debt, then you guys can make a plan together to pay it off.
I think it's important to note that when we got married, we both had debt. So I had a mortgage and student loans, and Mariah had student loans. And we were able to pay off all of our debt except for the mortgage within the first 2 years of being married, because we were able to work together and really like throw all of our excess income into paying off our debt.
Whereas if I didn't get married, like I think I would have like taken the longest possible time to pay that debt, just because I wasn't crazy driven to pay it off. I was like, oh, I'll just do the normal payments. But I feel like being with you was like, no, we could actually do this. Like we could actually pay it off.
And I remember like a bunch of the people who I was watching for financial advice at the time were explaining to me basically the magnitude of impact that compound interest factors into debt. Like this idea of like when you have a debt that's 13% interest, every day that you let it linger, it like kind of dominates your ability to save and invest. So I was like, let's get rid of this ASAP. And I think that there's a real invitation or opportunity for people when they're together to be like, let's get creative. Let's take on second jobs, or let's take on hobbies that can generate income so that we can like attack this debt right away. Whereas I think that like individually, sometimes you're not as motivated, or the debt that you have in front of you becomes a lot more intimidating than it actually is.
So remember that you're a team and you can work together to tackle your debt, and remember to just be honest about it. Okay, the fifth myth is that you need to spend money on traveling and spend money on yourself before you get married. If that's something you want to do,
do it.
Do it.
All power to you.
There's no rules, but you don't have to do it. I was able to travel a little bit before we got married, and that was awesome. But the trips that we've been able to do together have been so much fun, to be able to just like travel with your best friend, the person you love, the person you're committed to for life, and you get to make all these memories with them. Like, it's
and
so
I think
beautiful.
this myth is grounded in like, it's like myth inception in that it's grounded in the myth. Hear me out. It's grounded in the myth that when marriage starts, fun ends. Like this idea of
freedom
like,
ends.
Freedom and fun ends when you get married. And it's just like, I refuse to believe that truth because that hasn't been my experience. Like I think that we are able to do so many things that were awesome. And sure, we've done the boys' trips and the girls' trips and done things on our solo that has been awesome. But some of my best memories are memories of trips that I've done with Mariah. And I hope vice versa. I really hope vice versa.
I like how you say
vice
versa.
Vice versa.
Anyways, no, but actually, and I feel like for me, I'd rather make those memories of a lifetime with the person I'm going to be with for a lifetime. So don't feel like you have to get all those trips like out of your system before you get married.
Yeah, and you could also get married and then go to the spa by yourself or go on a trip by yourself.
Yeah, like I said, there's no rules.
Guys, there's so many things you can do. Choose your own adventure. When you get married, you don't just have to like only go on trips with the person as well.
Yeah.
Like we only go on trips with each other because we prefer that.
Yeah, but you don't have to.
But you could just go on, like I know people who go on weekend retreats by themselves.
Yeah.
And that's okay because it works for them.
Love it.
So there you go. Anyways, we just busted some myths. I think the last thing we should go together and say like the one takeaway where it's like, if someone were to ask us this question, the one thing you would reiterate.
Okay.
My thing that I would reiterate.
Sorry, what's the question?
So it's like, what's one thing you would tell me if financial readiness or lack thereof is getting in the way of me getting married?
Okay.
So my thing is embrace the struggle. Like I think there's something so character building and relationship building about embracing just like a season where you're not that financially well off and you're a bit poor and you're getting cheap ramen noodles instead of like these extravagant like meals, 5-course meals at your house. And I just think that there's something so special about that season, the humble beginnings. Embrace it. That's okay.
Okay, my thing's a little bit more niche, but it's you don't have to have an extravagant wedding.
Yeah.
You don't have to have a bachelorette party in Miami or something. No. You can keep it simple. If you want to do those things and you have the money for them, sure, go for it. But, you know, a wedding doesn't need to be thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. You can get married in someone's backyard with pizza for the food. People that love you are going to show up. You can elope if you want to. You can do things that really cut down the costs. You don't have to get your nails and hair and stuff professionally done. If you don't have the money to, that's fine. Your wedding will still be beautiful and special. And honestly, marriage is not about the wedding day, like really at all. Like it's the first day of your marriage. But marriage is so much more than that day. So don't let an expensive wedding hold you back from getting married.
Yeah. I don't know who needed to hear this, but don't plan your life or your wedding for Instagram or for social media. Like, just do what you two like and what you two value. At the end of the day, when you're 5 years, 6 years into marriage, you're going to want to look back on memories and a day and a life that you created and curated and be proud of that. Don't do it for a group of people who is almost like abstract in our minds. Do it in a way that impresses you and feels good for you and your significant other, and you'll be happy with that.
If you like this video, feel free to watch this video next on finances.
And if you haven't already, make sure to like and subscribe. And if you think this video would serve someone, make sure to send it their way. It would help us, and it would likely help them as well.
We'll talk to you guys next week.